I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey. Whew, that is tough on the neck. Anyway, I have been rereading Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol and also been watching various adaptations, and I'd like to do some reviews on them, including the 1978 Rankin Bass special, The Stingiest Man in Town, and this undated version that I found on this DVD that may well be the worst version of A Christmas Carol I've ever seen. But, with all the hustle and bustle of the holidays and the fact that I'm a really lazy procrastinator, I haven't gotten around to it. But in researching the various versions of A Christmas Carol, I found the following on IMDb.
The word humbug is misunderstood by many people, which is a pity since the word provides a key insight into Scrooge's hatred of Christmas. The word humbug describes deceitful efforts to fool people by pretending to a fake loftiness or false sincerity. So when Scrooge calls Christmas a humbug, he is claiming that people only pretend to charity and kindness in a scoundrel effort to delude him, each other, and themselves. In Scrooge's eyes, he is the one man honest enough to admit that no one really cares about anyone else. So for him, every wish for a Merry Christmas is one more deceitful effort to fool him and take advantage of him. This is a man who has turned a prophet because he honestly believes everyone else will someday betray him or abandon him the moment he trusts them.
Now, there's a sequence in the book that very much embodies this definition. As far as I know, it hasn't been in any adaptations, but this is almost certainly the most adapted work of a very prolific writer whose every work has almost certainly been adapted, so I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a version somewhere with this in it. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, as a boy, Scrooge went to a horrible boarding school. Well, this is Dickens, I suppose the horrible is redundant, where he spent many lonely Christmases until his sister, Fan, came to take him home.
She clapped her hands and laughed, and tried to touch his head, but, being too little, laughed again and stood on tiptoe to embrace him. Then she began to drag him, in her childish eagerness, toward the door, and he, nothing loath to go, accompanied her. A terrible voice in the hall cried, "Bring down Master Scrooge's box there!" And in the hall appeared the schoolmaster himself, who glared on Master Scrooge with a ferocious condescension, and threw him into a dreadful state of mind by shaking hands with him. He then conveyed him and his sister into the veriest old well of a shivering best parlour that ever was seen, where the maps upon the wall, and the celestial and terrestrial globes in the windows were waxy with cold. Here he produced a decanter of curiously light wine and a block of curiously heavy cake, and administered instalments of those dainties to the young people, at the same time sending out a meagre servant to offer a glass of something to the postboy, who answered that he thanked the gentleman, but if it was the same tap as he had tasted before, he had rather not.
So maybe next Christmas season I'll actually get around to doing those reviews. In the meantime, Happy New Year,
and God bless us, everyone.
Wouldn't if it wasn't that whole negative.